Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me. The topic this morning is, let's see, well, they don't have it yet, but it's basically the new age luxury traveler, obviously of Indian origin. I believe we are at the crossroads in this country for various reasons. Primary amongst those reasons is the fact that the hotel business is mushrooming like it never has. Consumer evolution hasn't caught up. The Indian customer, the Indian consumer, is by far one of the most fastidious that you can get anywhere in the world. We like our hotels to be homes, we like staff in hotels to be like help, and we ask for the earth. What's also happening is, given the pressures of the hotel business, fewer hotel chains are investing in training, and it is quite apparent in the way the hotel business has mushroomed in this country. And that, to my mind, is a terrible flaw, which, if goes uncorrected, will damage the imprint of the hotel business in this country. And let me explain why I say this. Today, tourism is India's largest economic generator. It is also the largest economic value add, despite what politicians do and say about this industry. Hotels, to my mind, are the gateway to any country's tourism. And it doesn't matter whether they are 5-star, 4-star, or 1-star. The fact is that when you get into a hotel, you experience the cultural moorings of that region, of that culture, of that society, of that city, and most importantly, the historical chronicling. Training, therefore, is a critical aspect, and I'm seeing the fact that we've got this mushrooming hotel industry with no training to match, creating, to my mind, the worst bottleneck that I've seen in quality. Hotels can't be a quantity business. You can't say that you are the biggest chain. You've got to be the best chain. I saw an advertisement yesterday from one large hotel conglomerate saying, we are now 100 hotels in India. Not good. We aren't counting. Hotels are not in the telephone directory business. They're not the yellow pages of tourism. What is more important is how distinct are those 100 hotels in terms of brand imprint from what you have or what you don't have. Size is never a good thing for a hotel business, and I've always said that. Because size almost makes you move from value to volume. It allows you to soak in the pressures of filling up rooms rather than getting good people to serve your customers. And when that change happens, it's an unfailing, unstoppable change. It's a change that has a dominoes effect, which will not only hurt the brand, it will continue to hit at the heart of your business. Which is why I still believe India's finest hotelier is Vicky Oberoi. Because hoteliering also demands a certain level of stubbornness. The general perception that hotel owners and hotel operators and hotel CEOs must be pliant, nice people is silly. That's for the missionaries of charity to be, and when Mother Teresa was alive, for her to do so. It's not for the hotel business. The tragedy is that hotel businesses over the last few years have been a play for real estate rather than a play for real value. They've been a play for people to fill in and to money launder. I know these are harsh things, but it's the truth. And no one in this conference is going to tell you, because the other problem about hoteliering in India is we're all becoming politically correct without understanding either political or correctness. But that's the tragedy. The hotel business has become a business which is a real estate play. You're spending far too much of money on cluttering rooms. Minimalism has gone out of the door. You believe that a customer must walk in to a room full of goodies. You know, you'll give him 20 kinds of cookies. You'll hide the PowerPoint somewhere where he can't find it in the name of modernity. Consumers want clarity. They don't want modernity. Consumers want convenience. They don't want some gizmo that will surprise them. Which is why I still believe that the Four Seasons will remain the world's finest chain. Because there is a certain lowest common denominator in terms of quality which they will never sacrifice. And my thing is not about one hotel chain versus the other. It's about the way we are creating a talent pool. Many years ago, I wrote an article which Bicky apparently circulated where I said, will someone please kill my butler? Because butlers are becoming an intrusion. I mean, the day isn't far when you are in a conjugal situation and your butler asks you if he should serve you. That day isn't far in our country. That's because we believe in over and excessive pleasing the customers. People come to hotels because they treat hotels as inns. Hotels are meant to be oases of calmness. They're not meant to be cluttered with escalators and look like shopping malls. I was recently at a hotel in Madras, which resembled a shopping mall. It had escalators, it had about 72 restaurants, 14 bars. You couldn't even find a simple bottle of vodka. But that was because you've built it as a real estate play. And when you have a real estate play, you will always have the problem of too much for too little. I also believe that hotel managers and people who run hotels have got to be sensitive to consumer changes. I said this at a HICSA conference many years ago at this very venue, saying we've got to understand the future of consumerism before we recalibrate, recraft, and reinvent the hotel business. Luxury is not about too much. Luxury is about very little. But that very little is the classiest very little you can get. Luxury is not about overdosing. Luxury is about that minimum subtle flavoring of that hotel chain. And I believe that luxury ultimately is what luxury does. Does it make you feel special? The questions that operators of luxury brands need to ask themselves are the following. A, does my luxury brand make my guest, make my consumer feel special? Is the luxury that I offer distinctive, non-replicable? Is the luxury that I provide unique to my brand? It could be anything. It could be flavored water drawn from a Himalayan spring. But is it distinctive? Is it unique? When I create flavors of food and beverage, am I creating things that will create a lasting impression in the minds of my guests? Is that an experience that my guests will want to return to? Hotels don't make money with first-time guests. They always make money with repeat guests. What people like Sonu Shivdasani are doing with the Sonevas of the world are encouraging repetitive visits only because of the luxury touch points that they provide. Luxury is also about destinations. Many, many years ago, when the Commonwealth heads of government were meeting for the first time in India, when Indira Gandhi was Prime Minister, the Taj created Goa. They created Goa because they created a destination which was fulfilling. I, to this day, prefer to stay at the Taj Holiday Village. But what have we done to Goa? We have ruined that destination. We don't even know whether it's a Russian hangout or an Israeli hangout, or is it just part of the mini United Nations? But it's been ruined because the people who are actually mushrooming there, and that includes the politicians, of whom the less said the better, don't understand the imprint and the power and the impact of tourism. I'm seeing increasingly in India luxury to be defined as excessive. The definition of luxury in India has changed. Remember, we gave the world Maharajas, and we still have them floating around. We gave the world luxury which was bound, which was emergent from our homes. You know, it's no point talking about incredible India when your hotels don't match the incredibleness of what this country has had to offer. And it's not about symbolism. It's not about a candle march every evening at sunset. Those are optics and illusionary. What is more important is how do you train your staff to not only assess, but second guess. Luxury is about second guessing. Luxury is about humility coupled with the desire to be futuristic. Luxury is not about pleasing. Luxury operators and luxury brands are not in the business of pleasing customers. Loro Piana to this day will not produce anything in black. You have a choice. You can go for the made-to-measure, but you will never get a ready-made Loro Piana product in black. That's their policy. Take it or leave it. The Four Seasons will never compromise. Bicky Oberoi will never compromise with a wedding. Today, most hotels have become banquet events and banqueting scenarios. I remember calling up Farhad Jamal when on the 14th of February at the Taj Holiday Village, there was an obscene family spending an obscene afternoon with even obscener Bollywood music in the middle of the afternoon. Why would I replace the tranquil waves of the Arabian Sea with Mika or the Lair Mehndi or whoever they are? But we don't understand that. The reason is revenue has overtaken luxury. And luxury and revenue are non-exclusive. So it's not that revenue will not exist when luxury does, but it's the manner in which you shape the luxury offering. I remember for years, Bicky Oberoi had a policy of no children below 12 at Wildflower Hall, a very sensible policy. Because when you create oases, when you create tranquil havens, you don't want brats running around and pinching each other and making a racket. If you want a family holiday, then go to a family resort, and you have many of such family resorts. I also believe, and I have about 8 minutes left, and I want some Q&A if possible. I also believe that as time goes by, the Indian consumer, who is now exposed to global travel more than ever before, the pernicious limits on foreign exchange have vanished, will want the same levels of service even in India. And it's not about creating a Japanese restaurant or about a Peruvian restaurant. It's about actually understanding the imprint of luxury, and luxury to my mind is borderless. I've often been asked, why are hotels in India, shouldn't they be Indian in nature? There's no such thing as Indian in nature. Kenichi Omei, the former partner of McKinsey Japan, in the 90s wrote a book which I urge you to read called A Borderless World. And he says the world will be borderless, it'll be interconnected. Experiences will be shared. They won't be insular, and they won't be captive to either one culture or one identity. It's very important for us to define what that lowest common denominator is. It's also very important, therefore, from that prism of the lowest common denominator, to embark on training programs that are meaningful. Our hotel management institutes need to be bombed and then recreated. It's not about a diploma, it's not about a degree. You need better people. I've often railed against successive governments that you cannot have reservation in certain kinds of businesses. I want the best doctor. I don't want a doctor who's become a doctor because of caste, creed, or color. Which is why hotels need to spend more money on their people. Hotels need to continue to invest more and more in their people. And that, I have to tell you, the Taj has been admirable. The people at the Taj are decent, nice people. Now they need to be decent, nice, and brilliant in terms of execution as well. Which, by the way, Bicky has mastered adroitly. I've often believed that as we embark on the next journey of Indian tourism, at the heart of our tourism business will be hotels, will be service. They will be the first contact point. Today, more and more people are irate in Europe, in England especially, because the serving staff doesn't speak English. I had the same problem in Santiago, in no less a chain than the Ritz-Carlton. But these are some basic hygiene points that we need to worry about. We need to look at our concierge services with a distinctive look and feel. At the heart of any good hotel anywhere in the world is the concierge. He is your window to that city. He's your window to that experience. And most importantly, he's your best friend. And I believe as long as we continue to invest in our people, as long as we continue to honor people who work in the hotel business, we will do phenomenally well. India has some of the finest hoteliering talent. It's visible when you go across the world, just like we have the finest global talent running tech companies. To quote Shakespeare, the fault is not in our stars, but the fault is in ourselves that we don't invest in the right people. When you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. So you might want to start paying people more. You might want to give them the feeling that they are people of honor and distinctiveness, that they are people who are actually your custodians, your brand custodians. And it's only then will you see a dramatic change in the imprint of luxury. Because ultimately, luxury is not about what you feel. Luxury is about what you take away. Luxury is often, to my mind, the finest validation of both self-esteem and performance. Ultimately, you must feel good. And ultimately, the most successful people don't seek wealth or fame or recognition, because that comes as part of the retinue. A successful person always seeks a good night's sleep, and that is the essential commodity or brand or the imprint that hotels sell. A good night's sleep, where you feel rested, where you feel rejuvenated, and you feel in sync with that culture, with that city, and with that identity. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a splendid day ahead of you. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them. Sorry. So let's go left, because we must first feed the communists, and then we'll go right. And in any case, India is full of right-wingers now, so yes.
Suhel, Sudhir Nagpal, a partner of the Taj Group, we've met many times. First, I'd like to thank you for being so frank, and the other side also to the compliments which you've given us. Now, the question that you raised about society building around our hotels, and I take the Goa example, and I was very inspired by that, just like you, and I used that in Nashik. So Nashik is the next dream for me to create that, but without that, you know, the way Goa has gone. I'm sure every city has that potential, every place has it. Are you saying, am I hearing, that we have now the responsibility to engage in a different manner socially with the community? And how shall we do that? That's a very good point you raised.
So, if you go around the world, today, I mean, I don't like to use the word CSR. I think it's the most abused concept. The House of Tata has turned 150 this year. The House of Tata has only been known for one thing, which is engaging and giving back to society. Companies give back only in two ways. Companies give back in terms of philanthropy and in terms of product. Hotels have to give back. They have to do meaningful stuff. There is no point planting, 7 million trees outside your hotel property, because that only makes your hotel look good. But what are you doing about training? I remember, and Farhat, you can correct me if I'm wrong, many years ago when KK was running the hotel, I remember there was a Sunday market at the Taj Holiday Village, which actually was open for free for local craftspeople and artisans to come to the Taj Holiday Village and set up a flea market. Fantastic initiative. You brought Goa into the Taj Holiday Village rather than the other way around. Why do hotels treat CSR or community engagement only from the prism of giving back food that hasn't been consumed? What are we doing with training? What are we doing in terms of actually bringing the real craftspeople? I'm tired of being welcomed in any Goa hotel by three Johnnies who play the guitar and play the same goddamn song no matter what time of day it is. Why can't we be different? Luxury forces people to imagine and then reimagine. The tragedies we've stopped imagining, and by the way, imagination is free. When I last checked. Now, Sudhir Nagpal and his family have been great partners of the Taj for years. They still run the finest Thai restaurant in the country. But why just one? And see, the point I'm making, Sudhir, is you will always be faced with this dilemma of how much is enough. Giving back to society, there's never a cap. There's never a cap. So my appeal would be that please reimagine and recalibrate what you're doing, not only in terms of the guest experience, but even in terms of society. And you will never have political support. We are run by a bunch of jokers, like every country is. I mean, Trump is no angel. So you have to discount the jokers who run countries. That's why they run countries, because they have nothing else to do. So if you believe that tourism ministers, I mean, you've got an absolute insane union tourism minister. But you've got to discount the fact. You see, I've always said about India and now America, they're both like the bumblebee. Aerodynamically, the bumblebee is not supposed to fly because of its size. You see, the bumblebee doesn't know that, so it flies happily. Yes. That'll be the last question. I don't want to be abused for going over time. I don't want to tell the earlier panel you all were being discussed in the green room for stretching your time.
Thanks. Real quick, Suhel,
No, I'm just joking. Yeah, they were very kind. Yes.
I'm Achin from Hotelivate. You spoke about minimalism and luxury, and you also spoke briefly about if you do luxury right, revenue will follow. All I'm wanting to understand from you is, from your point of view, do we have a substantial enough demographic in India that genuinely appreciates minimalism, and will that therefore yield the returns that we're talking about?
See our weddings. A society is known only in two ways: by the way it celebrates festivals and the way it mourns its dead. In both, we are excessive. I know of certain film stars from this city who are actually paid 25 lakhs to attend funerals. And if they actually carry the corpse, another 2 lakhs of bonus. I mean, that's who we are. So that's not going to happen. But that's exactly my point. Why do you want to feed populism which is mistaken, or populism which is erroneous, when you can actually change the imprint? Vicky Oberoi could also benefit from wedding revenues in his hotels, but he doesn't want his guests to be disturbed. That's civility. That's looking after your people. You know, people tell me, oh, the Supreme Court has ruled after 10:30, no disturbance. So what? You beat the whole goddamn roof over my head in the afternoon when civilized people take a siesta? Why? Why can't hotels actually sacrifice in the short term for the long term? People will respect you for that. And yes, there will be a revenue hit, but I'm a great believer, brands are not built by compromise. The only compromise you should make is when you're positioning yourself in bed. No other compromise ever. On that note, you must always end on a note of desire, avarice, and aspiration. I will leave you. Have a splendid morning. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.